What's up, guys? This is Lex Law coming at you with another informative video this morning. I stumbled across this wallpaper this morning while looking for a wallpaper for the video. And I just want to say that this is, it's not a Christian video. I'm not going to bombard you with Christian talking points. But I really liked this quote here. What man is a man who does not make the world better? So I've been thinking a lot lately about what the definition of a man is, and that's more or less what I came up with, is that a man is only a man if he cares about the future. Virtue could be defined as the delayal of gratification. You could say the definition of virtue is the ability to delay gratification. And you'll see a lot in our society, a lot of the problems in our society come from not delaying gratification. And especially with young men. I see a lot of young men just spinning in circles. They don't really have a fundamental orientation towards anything. They're just kind of living for the moment, but not even in a positive way. You always hear oh, well, you should live for the moment. Well, living for the moment means a virtuous sense of living for the moment means that you're present and you're engaged. Whereas living for the moment in a hedonistic sense is just screw the future. The present is all that matters. Screw the future, the present's all that matters. Right now, tonight is all that matters. You see that so much in our culture. And it definitely has a lot of relevance to what I want to talk about today. So I want to talk today about music in the culture and how music today, a lot of it, actually has an extremely negative effect on the worldview and the attitudes of the listener. A lot of the themes of modern music are firmly rooted in the instant gratification culture that we live in. Most pop songs you hear on the radio are about either getting drunk tonight or having sex tonight, right now, or just, general disregard for the future. And, people say that, oh, Lex, it's just a catchy pop song. It's not a big deal. It's not, you're looking too far into it. And what I say to those people is that it's not just a song, it's a story. And the stories that we surround ourselves with and listen to and identify with have an impact on the way we live our lives in the world. If a song and a particular artist, because the big thing about these songs is that they're usually really, really catchy. They're really catchy, and they're scientifically designed to be that way. They figured out the most effective way to make a song stick in your head. But a lot of these songs aren't that bad, right? I remember Rude Boy by Rihanna when that came out. I really liked that song. I thought it was a good, catchy song. but the message of it is not good. It's not virtuous. It's not oriented towards the future. And so because these songs are so catchy, a lot of people listen to them, and it affects the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories that we live. So today I'm going to do an example. I'm going to give you an example. I'm not going to play the song because I might get taken down for copyright, but I can go over the lyrics, and I'm sure all of you have heard this song at one point, either have actively listened to it or have just heard it on the radio somewhere or in your friend's car, on your friend's iPod or something like that. So the song I'm going to talk about today, it's a bit of an older song. I think it's from 2017. I'm certainly a little bit late to the party, but I've had it stuck in my head. I heard it the other day. Like, I heard it a while ago, just briefly, and then I was like singing like a parody of it, and it's got stuck in my head, and I said, okay, I actually got to listen to this song and see what it's about. And I particularly don't like the song. I think it has one catchy line, one little catchy part that gets stuck in my head, but I don't think it's a particularly good song, even not looking at the message of the lyrics. But it's a super popular song. It was super popular when it came out. People still listen to it. It's one of those, songs that people like nowadays. And when I listened to it, I was really appalled by the message of it. I was like actually appalled. Like I know we've kind of gone as far as we can go into the debauchery and the sinful, non-virtuous, whatever the opposite of virtue, vice-driven nature of our society. Like this, we've been hearing terrible, contrived songs with like meaningless lyrics and just awful messages of hedonism and instant gratification. We've been hearing that for a while now here in the West, and I'm not really too surprised usually when I hear some of these awful lyrics, but this one hit me particularly deep. So the song is called Body by Loud Luxury, and I'm going to bring up the lyrics here. Look up Christian wallpapers. It's for the next video. Okay. So this song is by Loud Luxury featuring Brando. So Loud Luxury doesn't even sing, they're one of those groups that they make the beat, they make the song, and then they get somebody to sing it for them. Quick funny thing, they were talking about how I just read like the history of the song, and they're talking about how they went to see Brando at like some club somewhere, and they were blown away by how amazing of a singer he was. And then you listen to the song, and he's got all this auto-tune on him. So it's just a load of crap. It's a load of crap. So let's just get right into it. And I'm gonna break down how I feel about this lyric per lyric and what it makes me think of. So the first, babe, don't make a sound. 2 a.m. love, gotta keep it down. So I mean, obviously they're having sex, right? Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verbs, I ain't talking nouns. But obviously it's like, don't make a sound, they're having sex, it's like 2 a.m., they gotta be quiet. Don't wait around for a signal. I guess that's him like saying like, just do it. Give me some verbs. Verbs are action words. So I guess it's clear he wants to have sex, right? It's clear this is about sex. 2 a.m. love, like obviously got to keep it down. I'm naughty, obviously, right? That's not what is the problem with this song. I'm not a sexual Puritan or anything. I am Christian, and I do believe that abstinence is the absolute best way to go until you're married. But I also recognize that we're human, we're animals, and we want to have sex. So I'm not against sex. What I am against is hardcore promiscuity. That's what I'm very much against, from personal experience and from, a philosophical and even like a practical standpoint, which we'll get into in a moment. But I don't really have too much of a problem with sex, right? And this is just like, okay, obviously they want to have sex. Next line is, you want to ride in the six being Toronto. You want to dine in the six. So she wants to drive around. She wants to have dinner. But when I lean in for the kiss, she says, or you said, it means her, I'll probably send you some pics. So he's taking her around on a drive, and then he takes her out to dinner, and then he wants to kiss her, and she says no. That's the gist of this, right? So, I mean, okay, there's nothing too controversial or too bad about that. It's that, it's a girl saying no is actually pretty good, right? Well, if you got to look a little bit deeper into it, right? It's like, you want to ride in the six. You want to dine in the six. So it's not that he just offered. She would have been down with just hanging out with him, just the two of them talking and getting to know each other. No, she wanted to drive around in luxury in Toronto, and she wanted to go out for fancy food. Right? So he knows this. He knows that's what she wants. So he's willing to do it. But when I lean for the kiss, when he goes in for what he wants, she says, like, I'll just send you some pics. So if she would have been like, no, I don't have sex on the first date, fuck you, that's disgusting, this would be a whole different story. I'd love this song. I'd listen to this song every day. But no, she's like, I'll send you some pics. Right? I'll probably, not even for sure, I'll probably send you some pics. So what this shows to me is that she wants to ride in the six. She wants to dine around, ride and dine. He knows that. He wants sex. It's obvious, right? Based on this shit. When I lean for the kiss, that's the first stage of sex. Said, I'll probably send you some pics. So she's down to trade sexuality for resources, and for rides and dining. She's down. She's totally down. She's like, I'll send you some pictures. That's what I usually do, right? It's like, so it's the transactional nature of this interaction is very, very clear. He wants sex. She wants to ride and dine and live like a rock star, because I'm assuming that, obviously these guys are well off. And she's like, no, I'll just send you some pictures. Like, I know what's happening. I know you're going to want to have sex with me. But okay. And I know that's what I'm getting into. But no, I'm going to go send you some pictures, right? And it's like, okay. That's pretty standard for today's hedonistic, late empire society that we live in. But this is where it starts to get messed up. This is where it really gets messed up here, is in the pre-chorus. So she's like, I'll probably send you some pics, and he says, hell nah, I've been waiting too long. Like, fuck no. I've been waiting too long to fuck you. Okay. Like, that's a bit weird. That's a little bit needy and weird. I don't think any girl would actually, like, do that. Like, hey, yeah, let's kiss. Like, no, I'm good. I'll probably send you some pics. Fuck no. I've been waiting so long for this. I've been waiting fucking years to fuck you. Get on your knees, bitch. Like, good luck with that one, right? So that's a little creepy. And this line right here, the next line is the line that really fucking takes this over the top, man. This is where it descends into hell. It descends deep into the recesses of debauchery. Hell nah, I want that crew love. And I was like, what the fuck is crew love? So I looked up crew love. Let's go look up crew love in real time right here. Crew love definition. I'm going to go to Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary. Crew love. When a group of friends, guys and girls, date amongst each other and pass each other around to other mates in the group. Get out of here. That one girl has dated all the guys in the crew. Well, I hope it's this one. where at crew love, we're in the Navy, the crew are stuck in the middle of the ocean without sex, and they decide to have a gay orgy. Alright, that's not the crew love we're talking about here. We're talking about this crew love. At least it's hetero. At least it's fucking heterosexual at the very least. But get a crew love. Mug for your mate, Abdul. Oh, fuck. That's funny. That's so funny. Okay. All right. Anyway, so crew love. So passing girls around. Passing girls around between the guys of the crew. So she's fucked. Like, I want that crew love. So it's like, so what that seems to me is that this guy wants to fuck this girl. And he wants that crew love. So it's like, hell nah, I've been waiting too long, You want to ride in the 6, you want to dine in the 6, when I lean for the kiss, he said, I'll probably send you some pics. And he's like, hell no, I've been waiting too long, I want that crew love. He is expecting her to have sex with him because this isn't the first time that she's done this. She's probably fucked all his friends. Like, he probably knows. He's like, his friends are like, yeah, man, I took fucking Chelsea May out to fucking dinner in Toronto, and I fucked the shit out of her. It was so easy. It was the easiest shit ever. And my friend did it too. The whole crew's had a turn with Chelsea May. You want to get laid, bro? Just give her a call. I gotta just take her out for a dinner, ride and dine in the 6, and you're good to go. So he's like, okay, fuck yeah, right? So that's kind of weird. And like this whole, it's interesting. This whole crew love thing. This is something I wanted to mention. I have a feeling most of my audience, probably the majority of the people who would watch this video, are like white males. And this whole crew love thing might be a little bit foreign to us white males. So I have a black friend, Blue Pharaoh. Shout out. Get your ass in the studio. I have a black friend, Blue Pharaoh. And he explained to me one time that there's a different mentality between like black men and white men typically when it comes to like passing around partners. I wish I had a quote of him saying it, exactly what he said, but basically he said that black guys, we don't care. We just pass them along. Like, I have a turn. You want a turn? Pass them along. I don't give a fuck. We don't care. Pass them along. But white guys are more like, oh, I don't want anybody to share her, right? Even if it's like a hoe, right? It's like you don't really want to share a hoe. I actually had a situation where this happened. I was like banging this girl who was like the local, like everybody knew she was a hoe. And she came to like meet me at the Legion for some drinks or whatever, and then I brought her back. Like, I was gonna bring her back to my place, but she was like really into one of my friends that night, and like she wanted to fuck my friend. that night. And my friend wanted to, but he was like, fuck, man, like, I know you've been fucking this girl and blah, 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 like, but like, can I fuck her? Like, would you be okay with that? And I was just like, yeah, I don't care. I don't give a shit about this girl at all, right? But, you know, I was a little bit more predisposed to that whole idea of passing along. But it's a thing that is actually like a distinct cultural difference between a lot of blacks and whites. Obviously, not all. But you know, heard this from a black guy himself. Black guys typically don't have a problem with passing a girl around between them, which is fucking disgusting. By the way, that's absolutely rotten. I'd want to be the first guy if I was doing that. I want to be the first one, and everybody else can go afterwards. So that's a real thing. It's like, you know, it's not just like, oh yeah, Lex, you're looking too into it. It's you know, it's like, no, man, it's a legitimate thing. It's like there are girls who go around and they fuck the whole crew. You know, like I've seen it. I had the chance to be involved in it. Like one time when I was in the 6, and I didn't want anything to do with it. So, crew love. So it's like this guy. Now, this is what really gets this. This is what makes this even worse. It gets worse from here. I'm not going to go over any more of these lyrics other than, you know, the chorus, losing all my innocence. So obviously he's like, he got it. He got what he wanted. He fucked the crew chick, right? But so what makes this really seem even more messed up to me, it's like, you know, if this was just like, I'm a PUA, I don't give a shit, I want to fuck you, you fucked all my friends, I'm gonna fuck you too, I don't give a shit, I'm a fucking fuckboy. Alright, at least you're honest, at least you're upfront about it. At least it's like, you know, he knows what he's getting into. But what makes this seem really, really, really weird to me is that, like, it's like the character in the song is, because, like, if you're a guy, right? If I have experience with women, I know how to take a woman home. I know how to make it happen, and, you know, it's like the whole thing, if you have to ask, you know, if you have to ask if you're going to have sex tonight, you're not going to have sex tonight. As a guy who has had a lot of experience with women, you know if you're going to take a girl home or not. You know if she's down to fuck. It's like an unsaid thing. You just know, and you just start executing the pull, start taking her home, and you go from there. You don't have to, like, all right, would you like to have sex with me tonight? That's not something that has to be said. If you have to ask, right? You'll never know. So, it seems to me that, like, this guy is probably kind of young and inexperienced, because he wouldn't really be having this problem. And he wouldn't have, and, like, no PUA would ever be this direct. You know, you don't really need to be that direct. If she's already in the limo with you and all that shit, unless you've just botched it and you're going to go for the whole, like, no, you need to sleep with me, fuck you, I'm not letting you leave here till you sleep with me, borderline rape, you know. You won't ever have to say this. And I understand it's a song, but it's not just a song, it's a story, right? It's a story that he's telling. And the fact that he has to say this makes it seem like he doesn't really know what he's doing. He doesn't really know how this all works. This is perhaps the first time he's ever tried to get crew love. You know, maybe this guy's like 17, right? He's 17. He wants to get laid. Maybe he's not the greatest with girls. You know, and then he sees his friends doing that. He sees his friends banging these girls, and then he sees, like, oh, like 3 or 4 of my friends banged this one girl. Maybe she'll bang me too. And that's where this really gets kind of sick and twisted to me, is like, it seems like this guy is young, doesn't know a whole lot about women, and wants to have sex like the natural young male instinct. So instead of going and, finding a girlfriend and developing, a relationship and then having sex with her, he's just like, well, I can just, this is what they do. This is what we do. This is just crew love. These girls just sleep around with whoever, with all the guys in the crew. If they like the crew, they'll like you. there's a T-shirt. If she likes the crew, she'll like you. And we could do the explicit version. If she fucks the crew, she'll fuck you. But so that's to me what really makes this song so awful, is that it's like, what situations would have to be present in order for this situation to happen, right? It's like, well, there has to be a guy who wants to have sex. There's a girl who fucks all the guys in his crew, all of his friends. The culture is okay. All the friends are okay with it. They don't care. They just want instant gratification. They just want the here and now. And this guy has to be vulnerable or like insecure enough to, or inexperienced enough as well to not know how the game is played. Because, like I said, if there's a girl who's coming around who's sleeping with all my friends, it's not going to be hard for me to screw her. I don't have to do any work. I don't have to tell her, no, I've been waiting too long, you better fuck me. It's like, no, it's implied. It will happen. So it seems like the guy in the song doesn't have that much experience. Perhaps he doesn't have a father. Like, that's a big thing, right? Like 75% of black children are born out of wedlock. And we have a fatherlessness crisis here in the West. Excuse me. We have a fatherlessness crisis here in the West. And it is even worse amongst black children because of that statistic that I just threw at you. As 75% of blacks are born out of wedlock. And so maybe this guy doesn't have a father. That's a big thing. Like, my father didn't really teach me how to interact with women. So I grew up being influenced by the culture. I watched porn. I watched TV. I went on Facebook. I saw what other people were doing. And I said, maybe that's the way it should be. Okay, whatever. People just have sex. That's what they do. People have girlfriends. They break up. They get a new girlfriend. They go fuck a couple random people. Okay, that's what people do. That's what it is, right? And that's actually like really, really harmful. Because this is one of the biggest things is that people don't understand, is that other than pregnancy and disease, which can be relatively easily prevented in our society today because of birth control and other things like that, just modern medicine in general, those are usually the things that keep people from having like rampant promiscuous sex. But those, because we've been able to, for better or for worse, deal with, like, figure that out, how to reduce pregnancy and reduce disease, people think that we can just fuck. But what they don't recognize is that there's another thing going on when you're having sex, especially when you're having unprotected sex, which is the natural thing to do, especially when you start coming inside somebody, because, hey, you're on birth control. There's no reason not to. Basically, it feels good, usually for both parties. So why not? Pregnancy is reduced, right? Well, the thing about that is that you discount that the human body releases pair bonding hormones. Now, I don't know a shit ton about pair bonding hormones, but I know it's a thing. pair bonding hormones. I'll put a link to some research in the description. Pair bonding hormones are hormones that release when you're having like sex and being intimate with somebody, and they'll almost like get you addicted to that person, because these are what this is what you're supposed to have for, you know, raising a child, right? You have a partner, you stay with the partner, you develop a bond, your bodies become connected to each other. Like I went through this with my last breakup, right? Back in the spring. You know, me and this girl, like, we had unprotected sex a lot. And after we broke up, you know, like, after I kind of got over the shit, like, in, like, a month or so, and once the pair bonding stuff started to run out, especially after I met my current girlfriend, I was like, man, this is, like, the best thing ever. Why would I ever have been sad that she broke up with me? It doesn't make any fucking sense, you know? Like, and obviously there's emotional stuff going on, too. But I really, like, was sad about her, and I couldn't really figure out why, because I knew that it was probably better that we broke up, and like part of me wanted to break up with her while we were together, because we were doing long distance and it was just too hard. But there was something and I couldn't figure it out, right? And obviously that's just anecdotal evidence, but your body releases pair bonding hormones when you have sex with somebody, and it will continue to release them. So when you go and you have sex with all these random people, you know, not only are you, you know, increasing chance of disease, your body is you're gonna wreak havoc on that system. I think it's called the endocrine system. You're gonna wreak havoc on this part of your body that is meant to have sex with one person, you know, or at least that you can make the whole argument, the whole sex at dawn argument of hunter-gatherer societies, that everybody had sex with everybody else, whatever. Still, those are very tight-knit communities. You know, you were impregnating the women and you were raising children, and, you know, whoever the group was raising the children, and those the women didn't come in and out of the group, and they didn't really mess around with other tribes, right? So it's a different situation than today, where girl comes around, fucks the whole crew, and then, you know, a couple weeks later they don't care about her anymore. She did something stupid, they told her to fuck off. You know, she fucked some guy that they don't like, and now she's banished and whatever, right? It's like having sex with a ton of different people is going to release all of these pair bonding hormones, and it's going to and you're not going to actually be pair bonding with anybody, so it's going to wreak havoc on your body. So that whole thing of like crew love isn't good for you. It's not good for anybody, right? It's not good for you. And you may not see the effects of it. It may be subtle, right? You might be already like smoking and drinking, right? So that, you know, when you have issues, right? It's like, I didn't realize how bad my caffeine addiction was, and how bad the symptoms of caffeine addiction were, and what effect caffeine had on my body, until I started to quit cannabis, right? Until I started to stop eating garbage and I quit cannabis. Then I started to realize, oh man, like, I still feel like shit. Oh, it's because I'm drinking this tea. You know, like, I was drinking coffee for a while, right? And I switched to tea, and I like the tea, but last night I had a tea, and I just felt so crappy. Like, I felt just like death, right? So you don't notice these things, because especially if you have other symptoms from other addictions and other bad choices that you're making that are more pronounced, as well as a lot of people just aren't very in tune with their body, their emotions. Everybody's kind of asleep, right? So this whole idea of crew love is extremely negative. It's a very extremely negative thing. And the fact that this song, it seems to me like this guy was, you know, he's a young guy, probably didn't have much, like, if he needs to have this kind of interaction with a woman, you know, because like my children, when they grow up, are going to have an excellent, first of all, real example of, you know, parents, a good family staying together. Because me and my girlfriend, we don't yell at each other. We don't yell. We don't fight. We talk things out. We're both rational and reasonable enough that we don't have to do those things. If one of us does react emotionally, the other one reminds the other partner. We apologize and we tone it down. We try to get back to having a reasonable discussion, right? So my kids are going to grow up with that as an example, straight up. And I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach them that they're going to be so much happier, just like their parents, if they're in a monogamous relationship. And I'll tell them, like, I'm aware of all this stuff. Like, you know, can't be too hard on our parents and grandparents. Because, like, I was thinking last night, I was like, what am I going to do with my kids in the future about video games? Or am I going to let my kids play video games? And I was like, well, video games had a really bad effect on me as a kid, so maybe I shouldn't. But at the same time, there's lots of positive interaction that I get from games now, and I've become more moderate. I've been able to do things in moderation a lot more. And if I ban video games for my kids and then they find them, it becomes a forbidden fruit thing, right? So, I was like, what was I going to do? And I was like, well, the only reason I got so addicted to video games is because when video games, like when I was a kid and my dad first bought me on video games, they hadn't been out for that long. They'd only been out for like 5 or 6 years. It hasn't been a thing. It hadn't been a thing that long. Video game addiction wasn't well known. We didn't know these things were addictive. It's just like, oh, it's another toy, right? So my dad didn't really, because that wasn't really a thing, my dad didn't know about that. So, he didn't see there was a problem. And I know because growing up with it, and now we've moved in the future. We know video game addiction is a thing. We know that it really affects young men especially. And, same with like porn and stuff like that. We know that now. So I have experience living it. So when my children, I have all this experience from like sleeping around, being a whore, and then switching to, monogamous Christianity and like, trying to practice abstinence whenever possible. It's hard, man. I'm going to say it's hard, but like we actively try to take breaks, and it's good. It helps. It's all good. So what I'm saying is, my children will not have those same problems, and if they do somehow get those same problems, I'll be able to help them deal with it. They will be will be able to deal with it properly. So they will not have this idea of, because my children are not going to grow up in a ghetto either. Like that's another thing, is like if crew love is a big thing amongst black men, then a lot of blacks grow up in ghettos, right? And I'm going to say that's probably most of where it takes place, because I don't think upper middle class blacks are engaging in this kind of stuff. It's like I'm sure that's not like in a more upper class community. I don't think that's going to be the same problem, right? So it's mostly happening like probably in the ghettos. So this, and then that just becomes a cesspool of disease. And then, someone gets pregnant. People get pregnant. Like, I know people, like, my friend, Blue Pharaoh, is from the 6. He's from Toronto. And, he just tells me about, he's out of all that shit now. And he doesn't really talk to these people that much anymore. But he hears from them every now and then. And, oh, somebody banged this person. That person got sick. This person now is pregnant. We don't even know who the father is, because she fucked the crew, right? And she was on the pill, supposedly, and all this shit. And it's just like, why would you want to put yourself through that? It's really stupid. So it seems to me that this song is about a young man doesn't really know a whole lot about girls. He doesn't understand the game, because if he did understand the game, he wouldn't have to say all this stuff right here in the pre-chorus. It'd be a much simpler story, right? And he doesn't really know how to get with women. He knows about this phenomenon where girls will just sleep with the whole crew. And he's like, you know what? All right, I guess I'm going to do that. Right? So, and I think, and like a song like this is massively popular. The song is massively popular. And look at this. Mixed in with a story of a complicated romance. So this is the thing that the mainstream media machine, the whole mainstream culture, the Facebooks, the globalists, you know, the YouTube with the censorship, all this sophistry, they don't tell they don't call things by their proper name. The beginning of wisdom is to call things by their proper name. What I have just done, this is a song about promiscuity. This is a song about a guy who wants to fuck a girl because she fucked all his friends, so he feels entitled to have sex with her. So he is going to buy her shit in exchange for sex. That's what this song is about. Don't give me this bullshit of a complicated romance. It's fucking bullshit. Crew love. If you just look up what crew love is, it's just that. So this whole like media machine, this whole like misdirection, that's not really what it is, you know. This is a problem, and this is what is permeating the culture. This is what young men and young women think is acceptable. This is what they think they should be doing. And then because you don't see, you know, the people who did this for 20 years, because they usually died. Or, you know, because I see all these people, now that the 80s have come and gone, like there's a lot of people, especially in Kitchener and Cambridge, who grew up in the 80s and they went through, like, they were big, like, hair metal fans. They went through all the hair metal stuff in the 80s, and, like, there was, like, around here we had a couple of bands. I can't remember their names, but there's a couple of bands, like, out of Kitchener and out of, like, Ontario in the 80s, like, these heavy metal bands that were, like, really popular. And everybody, like, I you know, it was a big thing in the 80s, and then I see all these people now who were, like, partying and rocking out in the 80s. I see them now. I see them at capers. I see them at these, like, shit bars. I see them all, like, just walking the streets, you know? And a lot of them are just degenerates. A lot of them are completely degenerate, you know? Or, you know, they're not degenerates, but they never got ahead. You know, they're still working the same factory job that they've worked for the last 20 years. They're still living, like, in an apartment. You know, they never bought a house. You know, they never had some savings. They never invested any money. They never, you know, started learning how to make a business or something, or how to, like, start creating passive income. They're just, you know, even the ones that aren't degenerate drug addicts or just booze addicts, and, like, you know, a lot of them are just normal people, right? Just what you would, you know, they just drink and smoke and they go to work, and they're not too fucked up, but they don't contribute a whole lot, and their kids are kind of shitty, you know, or they have maybe, you know, like, single mom or whatever, that kind of shit. But it's like, I see these people, but we don't see that anywhere. We don't have these documentaries on, like, hey man, remember the 60s or the 70s or the 80s? Remember? Well, here's what all those people who were doing that whole hippie movement or that whole rock movement, whatever. Here they are now. This is what happened, right? We don't see that. So all these young kids think this is what happens and what life is supposed to be, especially young women. They're wasting their time because they don't realize that they have a biological clock, and that once it hits around 30, they're going to want to, you know, they're going to be like, I need to have kids. They're going to go insane. You know, and then it's like, oh shit, I only have like 2 or 3, 4 years to find a good man. Well, then I'm going to rush into that relationship. I'm going to rush right into that. You know, we don't see that. We don't see these people. We don't see the negative effects that happen down the line from this. We don't want to see it because we want to keep living this bullshit lie. We want to just trick ourselves and think that, yeah, man, I can just keep eating that bag of chips. It won't matter. Like right now, I'm dealing with that right now. I fucking went on like a month-long just instant gratification tear of just eating whatever I wanted. I started eating bread again. I started eating processed shit. I didn't care, you know. And now I have like a multi like 8 days straight like knot in my gut that I'm still working on, and I have to go like buy yogurt, like plain yogurt and sauerkraut to like get some bacteria going there, and I gotta like research about digestion. I have to learn about digestion, and I have to like start making meals that are more digestive friendly, and then I have to look at supplements and things like that. Like it's a pain in the ass. If I would have just I was on a great health kick. If I would have just stayed on it, I'd be killing it right now. But now I have to go through all this, right? But and I just the whole time I was like, one more day, just one more time. And we don't realize that it all adds up, and that it fucks you over. It completely fucks you over in the long run. It doesn't just fuck you over; it fucks your children over, either your children that you have or the children that you don't have because of it. It fucks them over. It fucks over society, right? Because now we're having less children, right? We're having less children, or you know, you're contributing less to society. You're not bringing anything. You're just consuming, you know, and it's awful. And we need to wake up to this. We need to wake up to the fact that sex isn't trivial. Booze is fucking the worst thing ever. Booze is a poisonous drug. Weed is a very dangerous substance as well. Not to the same level, but weed can have very, very negative long-term effects as well. Like, once again, I'm amazed right now that I got through this whole video without ever having like a brain freeze. Like, I've been locked in here. When I'm just like walking around pacing in the morning trying to figure out what's going on in my head, I lose my train of thought like 17 times because of all this weed that I've smoked over the years. And it's awful, and I miss my mental clarity. So I'm really grateful I was able to get through this video so far today. But we don't realize these things. You know, we don't want to realize these things. We think that we can just fuck whoever we want, eat whatever we want, spend whatever we want, smoke, drink, inject our veins with whatever we want. Well, it's weird because like, you know, we talk about this stuff with like heroin. We say don't do heroin. But we don't tell our kids don't drink. You know, we don't tell our kids that alcohol is addictive. And it's just like we're insane. Our culture is fucking insane and ridiculous. And that is why I'm talking about this stuff here today. It's like I have went through a very long journey so far. I'm not even like a quarter, maybe not even an eighth of the way, you know, to getting somewhere where I would be like, okay, if I died now, I'd be happy, right? I'd be like satisfied with what I've accomplished. It's like I've been on the journey for a long time, man. A long fucking time. 8 years, six years, I guess. Like straight up 6 years. And man, it's like all this stuff really fucks you up, man. It really fucks you up. All this, you know, the culture just does. We don't want to wake up. We don't want to wake up. We just want to keep going with our addictions and our instant gratification. We just want to. We want to lie to ourselves. We want to think that it's never going to actually cost us anything, when in fact it's going to cost us everything that we have. So, all right, so that's all I really have to say on this right now. If you like this video, give me a like, subscribe to the channel if you found value in this content. Let me know about your experiences with crew love or promiscuity, and you know, I want to hear your stories about negative situations that you've had because of acceptable promiscuity in the culture. And if you guys comment enough and may actually write some stories, I will review them. I'll talk about them. I'll do a follow-up video and I'll talk about them. And hell, if some of you I might even invite to come on the show. We could do like a little a little stream thing, a little Skype thing. So this is Lex Law. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out my other channel if you're into Pokemon. It's at CardTard. And fuck yeah.